doing, everybody? I'm a little cold, so please excuse me. Got my whole house coat on and everything. So it's raining outside and it's bringing the weather down and temperatures is dropping. So I want to talk about moving. I want to talk about moving. Sorry. I want to talk about moving and following your dream. I was just contacted just now. I was literally checking a few of my emails, as many as I can possibly check, and one popped up right in my face, which was Act of Kindness. If you don't mind me saying your name, Act of Kindness wanted to know about moving. They are ready to get up and leave and move, probably out of state, and they're probably looking for land. So, Act of Kindness, my friend, this is for you. I've been talking about we were going to discuss it for the longest, and now it's raining outside, so we can't really do a solar generator video on Lead Farmer 73. So let's get it going. My question to everybody, and I'm doing this video so people can answer it later too. My question to you is, you want to move, you want land, and there's parts of that saying I keep hearing everybody want land, everybody is ready to move, but it's one thing before you do anything else, even before you get your finances together. Before you get your finances together, one thing you need to work on is your sacrifice. If you are not willing to sacrifice the stuff that you try, everything around you really, if you're not willing to sacrifice yourself to move forward, you won't move forward. And if you do, and you're not willing to sacrifice, you will move forward and you will fail. That's my guarantee to you. If you are not willing to sacrifice certain things in your life to move forward, you're going to fail. What I mean by that is, if you're ready to move, say out of state, if you're ready to move on, if you're ready to find land, the first thing I would say to anybody else was get your finances together, get your credit in check, save some money. But before you save some money, before you get your finances in check, before you tighten up your credit, number one thing you need to work on in your spirit is your sacrifice. What are you willing to sacrifice? Because a lot of people don't understand that. And I'm only speaking from experience, and I'm only speaking from my experience. I can't speak from anybody else's. I made several sacrifices in my life to get me here today. And a lot of people ain't willing to do that. Sacrificing certain things as materialistic things. Where you live right now, you may have a couple of cars, motorcycles, boats, a couple of houses. You may have it going on where you are, but you are not happy. That's because something's stirring up in your spirit telling you that this, even though this, you should be happy by anybody else's standards. The things that you've purchased and the things that you've accumulated and the things that you've accomplished, that's somebody else's dream. You got to think about that. Now, everybody know I'm from the north. I'm from Toledo, Ohio. I'm from a city where, you know, raising chickens, we don't talk about that too much, okay? Farming, raising your own food, we don't talk about that in the hood like that. So part of the sacrifice for me was when I tell my friends that I'm going and live my dream and I'm going to get me a farm and I'm going to get me some land, you will be ridiculed. You will be laughed at. You will be made fun of. You got to be ready for that. And frankly, if you don't want to deal with any of that, don't tell nobody your moves. Just leave. I made that mistake once. When I moved, let me get this right. When I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, I told the world I was leaving. And I was ridiculed. I was laughed at. I was mocked. You name it. Nobody in my circle made me feel good about my decisions, right? So it even made me second guess myself. So I moved to Atlanta. Everything went great. And I kept calling back and telling people, you got to come down here, man. It's a whole nother world. Nobody was interested. So, I moved back to Ohio because I had property still there. We moved back to Ohio. And I knew right then and there, this is not for me. I cannot stay here. So my second sacrifice was selling everything I own, getting rid of everything I own. All materialistic things that does not have to do with survival. If it's not about survival or bettering myself on the other end of where I'm going, it gotta go. And I had accumulated a lot of wonderful things, but I kept telling myself in my head, we can get it, we can get this stuff again. I could count off tons of equipment that I had back there that when I first got here, I wish I had, but I have accumulated that stuff 10 times fold since I've been here. So, the first thing, family, you got to, before you even start saving one penny, before you start getting your credit together, before you start getting your credit together, the number one thing you should work on is your spirit and your sacrifice. Before you go looking for land, because you don't even know what you're looking for. You don't know why you want land. This is a fad thing right now. Everybody is looking for land because everybody keep talking about it, but you don't even have a clue what you're going to do with it when you get it. I know a lot of people with land and they don't do nothing with it. Some people like, I ain't gonna go live on that land. What for? I like it here. But yeah, be smart. Either sell the land to somebody that can use it, or take that land and rent it out. People, listen, people grow pine trees just for lumber to build houses and build furniture and everything else. You'll have a lumber farm. Make your land into some sort of farm. Some people raise it for I can't think of my sister's name. Back to Our Roots Homestead. Back to Our Roots Homestead. They lease out some of their land to farmers just to grow grass to feed their cattle and livestock. Imagine that. You got 40 acres on the side that you're not using. Instead of just letting trees and wild crap grow up through it until you can't manage it, why don't you lease it out to somebody that need that land to grow grass to help feed their cattle and livestock? Why don't you lease that land out to the lumber yards so they can grow their pine trees and oak trees and everything else? So you'll be making money off land that you ain't got nothing to do with right now. All you get is a check. People are letting their land go to waste. And you could be making money sitting back on. Listen. You don't see me at work punching no clock. I'm speaking the truth. It's ways that you could be making money and you don't got to even get out your bed. You could be making money while you sleep. And there's certain ways to do that. You could be renting your land out to do anything. Period. And contract it out. But before we go that far, because that's another segment, is, are you ready to sacrifice your friends? I got some black marker on my hand. Are you ready to sacrifice your friends, your family? Because I promise you this is one part that people ain't ready for. You ain't ready to lose your family, are you? Your aunts, your uncles, your mama, your daddy, your brothers, your sisters, your cousins. You're not ready to lose them. Some families are very close to their uh family members. I was very close to my family members too. I still am. But I can't live for my family members. I have to live for me. And I have to raise my family, raise my children the way I see fit. That's part of my dream. So my children to this very day, they're living my dream and my expectations and my plans. But someday they're going to live their dream. They're going to branch off from me. But part of me, whether they want to do this farming stuff or not, they'll have that part of that knowledge. But one of the reasons I moved away was because where I was in the position I was in Ohio, you won't get that type of knowledge. You'll get survival knowledge, but it's like pretty much shoot 'em up, bang bang knowledge. And that's not the only thing that's going to keep us alive. Um, Bearing arms is just a part of survival. The rest is growing your own food and being self-sustainable. And in certain environments, you're not able to learn how to do that. That's why every time somebody asks me, how do I do this in an apartment? And my answer always is move out of the apartment. And people take that wrong. They take it as I'm being mean. No, I'm not. I'm trying to save your life. Get out of that apartment. How do I grow food in an apartment? How do I have livestock in an apartment? I've heard it all. How do I do solar panels inside of an apartment? I only got one window and it's facing the south and it never sees the sun. Get out of the apartment, because everything that you just told me means that you cannot survive in the apartment. Everything from growing food, sustaining yourself, solar power, alternative power, growing a garden, all of the things that you just mentioned to save your life, you cannot do in an apartment. That's why you need to know how to do it. And if you can do it, the measures to do it inside of an apartment are so extreme that it's not even worth it half the time. As much food as you could grow inside of an apartment will not sustain a whole family of people. And so then it becomes you just doing it, what they call it, do it for the gram. You just doing it for likes and thumbs ups and views. Then it's like, what for? So I'm gonna finish this up, and then I'm gonna ask some questions and answer some questions. I looked out my door today, and I lost track of how many pear trees that I have, and I've had them planted for years. And this year, each and every last one of them is in bloom like crazy. And I see my bees all over the blooms. I'm going to have tons of pears this year. And that just made me think, what if I would have never moved here? What if I would have never sacrificed everything? That's why the email that I got today was right on time. What if I wouldn't have made that huge sacrifice? You know, when I first moved to South Carolina, we lived in the hood. We lived back in the hood. It was like we didn't even move, right? We didn't have no furniture. I got pictures of it. I'll show them to you. My family and we slept on the floor. We ate on the floor. I bought a little television set with a VCR in it at the Goodwill. It was one of those little television sets. I'm going to say about a 10-inch screen with a VCR connected to it, little combo. And we literally, the whole family would gather around, and we kept going to the Goodwill, purchasing VCR tapes to watch. And I still got them to this day. That's how we entertained ourselves versus having a big screen TV, DVD player, Blu-ray player where we left. We enjoyed that family time together. We had time to talk. When it was time to go to bed, everybody unrolled their sleeping bags and you went to sleep. It was not comfortable sleeping on a cement ground because inside these apartments, because yes, I lived in an apartment. Inside these apartments, the floor was concrete with carpet over the concrete. I'm sure some of y'all, especially in the South, you know about that. It's not comfortable. But slowly, slowly, we move forward. Then I bought my first house here. It had land. That was a real homestead. I had acreage. And then from that, we moved here. It's a slow process. And some people are not ready for the slow process. That's part of the sacrifice. If you do not sacrifice yourself, your friends, your loved ones, your jobs, here's one sacrifice that will kick you in the graves. Knowing where you are, being familiar with everything. You know good and well if somebody was chasing you in your hometown, you know how to get away from them. I just go behind Miss Mary house, jump the fence, run over Uncle Roger house, went through the alley, I can duck through here, right? That part of that security you lose because you're going to be moving into unknown, unmarked territory. You will not know where you are. The way the patterns is from Ohio, in Ohio, Chicago, Ohio, Cincinnati, Dayton, New York, the Bronx, all of that, we live in blocks, meaning a city block. If I make a wrong turn, I got a chance to make another right turn to correct myself on the next block. Okay, if I miss my turn, I can catch it up and then I'm gonna have to double back. There are no blocks in the South, in Atlanta or the Carolinas. If you miss your turn, you better stop right now, back up and do a U-turn and go back and fix that. Because you will start out in Columbia, South Carolina. You're waiting on the next turn so you can go around the block. You'll end up in Myrtle Beach in about 2 hours if you don't stop. Because you waiting on the next exit. You waiting on the next turn. There is no such thing here. So I had to get used to that. So that's part of my, I knew how to get away from people in my hood. Here, you got to relearn everything. You got to relearn the way you walk, relearn the way you talk, relearn the way words mean, because words in Ohio, certain things I say here is offensive here, right? And certain things that's offensive here, is normal back home. You have to change that. Okay, when I moved to Atlanta, I had a lot of learning to do. My brother lived there, and my brother kept saying, don't say that down here. Don't say that down here. Don't say that down here. And when I moved to Atlanta at that time, I was from a place that was heavily gang affiliated. So I was blown away by certain colors that I seen people wearing that you cannot wear where I'm from, or you might end up on the 10 o'clock news. And I used to tell my brother, yo, hey man, we got to get out of here. And he like, for what? Yo, man, look what they got on all the colors, man. We got to get out of here. He said, cut that out. We don't do that down here. I said, what? What you mean? He said, nah, that ain't what that means. So before the gang stuff happened in Atlanta, I was there, and that was the last thing on their mind. They wasn't repping colors. They was repping zones. Okay? And it wasn't like this. So I had to learn a whole new culture. Even though I was black and most of the people I was around was black, it still was a different culture. Okay? So I had to basically go back to school and relearn everything I thought, everything I knew, everything, the way finances work. From where I was from, a house, you could buy a house, a nice house. This was 20 years ago, 20, about 20, let me see, about 20 years ago. You could buy a nice house in Ohio, Toledo, Ohio. You could buy a pretty nice house for 30,000. I've had two of them. You can buy a nice house for about 30 to 35,000. You have a pretty nice house, half decent neighborhood, right? So when I moved to Atlanta, all the houses were $150,000 up and up, and $150,000, those was the ones in the hood. $250,000. I'm like, man, I could never afford to live here. But what I had to learn was the prices for the homes were expensive, but the food and the gas and everything else to keep you afloat was dirt cheap. So it all evened out to exactly the stuff I went back home. You got to think and learn a new way. Are you ready for that? When you're ready to move, go buy land. You got a lot of sacrifice because everybody think I'm going to be down there doing my hair, my nails. I'm going to be riding on D's, all that. You gotta put that garbage to the side for a while, not just a minute. You literally gotta get rid of your old way of thinking. I never forget this, and I'm gonna share a personal story with you. When I first moved to Atlanta, Georgia, I went by myself, so I can get on my feet and then send for my family. I had property back home, so my wife and my kids were still there. I'm down there getting my feet together, getting us a place to live, got my job going, you know. So every time I run into a bad situation, I'm warning my older brother, like, yo, hey, man. I was about to say his name. Hey, yo, man, look what they doing, man. And he said, listen to me, little brother. I mean this from my heart. Everything you know from Toledo, Ohio. I said, yeah, what about it? Lose it. You ain't selling. I'm like, I ain't selling out I ain't selling out my city. I ain't selling out my hometown. I'm Toledo for life. He said, see, that type of mentality ain't gonna work here. You Toledo for life. You T-Town for life. Ride or die, T-Town. What has T-Town did for you for the reason you want to escape from it so bad? But you repping that. You repping that city so hard. If you're trying to bring that same mindset and set of rules down to Atlanta, why don't you just stay in Toledo? He said, everything you've learned from birth in that city, get rid of it. Because you're going to come down here and you're going to stumble. Because nothing that you learned in Toledo, Ohio, listen, if anybody from Ohio and moved to Atlanta understands, everything you learned about living in Toledo, Ohio and surviving in Toledo, Ohio does not apply to Atlanta, Georgia at all. It's like you just moved to China. It's like you just moved out of the country and you don't speak the language. I had to learn the language because it's a whole different language. I literally had to learn how to drive again because they don't drive with no rules in Atlanta. It's like the Autobahn driving on 285, okay? Especially doing the work week or the work going to work. It's like the Autobahn in Europe. Ain't no speed limits. It's the HOV lane and all this. It's about 12 lanes in one direction, and you one little car in the middle of all that. So it's stressful. Not only did you leave your comfort zone from where you used to come from, but now you also basically just cram studying life in your head constantly. Everything you do and every minute you you live in, you are learning. You are really learning. You better pay attention. So it's very stressful. You learning how the finances work. You learning how the jobs work. You learning, um, I'm from a union state. Every job, even if you bag groceries, you in a union. You move down south, there's no union, so there's really no backing. You gotta watch your tailbone. You have to watch out for you. It's a whole different ball game. It's a whole different world. So I'm gonna leave you with this. If you are looking for land, if you are ready to move, like my friend said earlier, are you ready to sacrifice everything? Because here's another thing too. Some people, you might have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or something, and they ain't with leaving. They ain't with it. They love that lifestyle back home. Shoot 'em up, bang, bang, bad situations, nasty apartments, roaches. They might love that life. So you may have to make the sacrifice to like turn them loose. My niece, she kept telling me, Unc, she live down in Florida right now. She kept calling me, Unc, what should I do? What should I do? I'm in love with this man. And Nikki, if you see me, baby, Unc love you. I'm in love with this man, and we thinking about starting a life together and this and that, but I cannot stay here in Indiana another year. I can't. I said, baby, you just told me and you told him how much you love him. You told me how much you sacrificed for him. Is he willing? Is he willing to show you that same sacrifice and love for your dreams? If not, no offense, but you gotta go. Or if you stay there, as bad as you want to leave, if you stay there, you're going to be living for him. You're going to be living for his dreams. And whatever is going on between you two ain't even promised. It's not even guaranteed that y'all even going to make it. So you'll waste another 5 years here fumbling around, hoping he love you back as much as you love him. And look how much time you would have wasted. I don't like giving people marital advice. I don't like giving people relationship advice because I ain't perfect. But I'm like this. If he love you just as much, he willing to sacrifice as much as you sacrificed for him, for your dreams. Because she told me all the stuff she did for him. She helped him go through school, welding school and stuff. Okay. You stood by him. He wasn't working. He was in school. Now he's a professional welder or whatever it was. Okay, hey, you held it down. Is he ready to hold it down for you in your dreams? Just saying. So sometimes I ain't gonna tell you how that ended up, but I'm just gonna say sometimes you got to cut some folks loose, man. To follow your dreams, it's like, listen, I can't. This place is killing me. Listen, yo, I love my hometown, I do, but I learned to respect my hometown. But I knew in my heart if I would have stayed there another year, I'd probably end up on that news. I probably would have ended up on that news. And I'm going to tell you one more thing too. Sometimes being where nobody else knows you, oh, it's wonderful. You love it because everybody knows you, knows of you, knows about you. They know the ins and outs. You got all your friends. You know them. That's great. But sometimes not knowing nobody, not recognizing nobody can be wonderful. You can walk in the mall and not have to do, oh God, there go what's the name now? God, here we go. Look, I'm gonna run to the bathroom. You just keep on walking, act like you don't see him. I'm gonna dip on. Hey, what's up, lad? Hey. How y'all doing, man? You want to spend time with just your family. But your family is that city. Everybody in your mix, everybody in your business, everybody whispering and everybody rumoring and you know. I remember him when he was a kid, man. Remember he used to go with a Ugly Betty, boy. I'm gonna tell you, I'm mess around and tell your wife what you did to old Ugly Betty, boy. Look, where your wife at? That kind of stuff, man. So hitting that reset button to me is sometimes a good thing. It's a great thing. I promise you this. I can promise you this. I would have never excelled as far as I have to this day if I would have stayed in Ohio. That's my word. Now, okay, I'm going to stop there. Any questions before we get out of here? I just wanted to give my testimony to my friend that emailed me about leaving. They really want to go. My thoughts and prayers are with you, and I say just go and do it. My kids, oh, that's one more sacrifice real quick. My kids hated it. They hated it. They gave me a horrible, horrible, hard time about leaving their friends, leaving their school, leaving their neighborhood. I had 2 kids of age to know well enough that, you know, they was of age, no, this ain't good for them. They don't think it is. I know it is. So I was willing to sacrifice butting heads with my 2 teenagers, preteens all at that. I was going to butt heads with these teenagers about this move, and that was going to go on for years until they finally get used to being where we at. Now, my baby boy, he just so mellow, little leg, he just don't care. He like, look, long as I'm with dad, I don't care where we at. So he could care less. It was like he never even left. So, okay, y'all. Any questions before we go? I can see who in here now. My brain was, when I'm talking sometime, I am there. Hey, Octavia Crawford said, how you doing? Any questions? Said, mine was young babies. Yeah, leaving with babies, that's a sacrifice. Because, man, now you got to find out where all the places at for babies. Why, Jessica? Thank you very much, a regular gun guy. What's up, brother? What's up, man? I'm just trying to let people know that, man, everything is a major sacrifice. They must have loved it because they didn't go back. No, they didn't have a choice. See that part. See, I still play my role. I'm dad. You ain't got no choice. And which I did know about for my children, you're gonna love it if you give it a chance. And look, they don't even want to go back to visit. They haven't been back. None of my kids want to go back for nothing. They're like, I'll be like, you know, they having a reunion down there. Yeah, I gotta work that week. I gotta work that whole month or whatever. They ain't even interested. Barry says, hard facts for the couples that do not commit to each other. Amen. That's part of it. If you in a relationship and y'all can't agree on those major sacrifices, y'all need to sit down and talk. Lady Leah said it best yesterday. Thank you, Mariah. Okay, Project A3on says we are in Ann Arbor moving to Howell. Oh, Ann Arbor, Michigan. Ann Arbor, Michigan, right? Get out of there. Thank you, Melissa. Working on moving back to Puerto Rico. Do whatever is in your heart. Do what you got to do. What's going on, Boss Hog? Hey, Gigi's Natural. What's up, young lady? I ain't even see you in here. What's going on with you? I left PA at the age of 18 with my baby to South Carolina. Never looked back. Never. Never. And I'm gonna tell you this too right now. It's a weird thing, but you always hear about people moving to the South. You never hear about people moving from the South to the north. That's one of those things to me, and it's no bias at all. It's just my observation. It's one of those things that it's easier for northerners to move to the south than it is for a southerner to move to the north because of the conditions, the harsh conditions. It's hot in the south, but nobody can handle that cold. You really got to be born in that snow to know how that works. All my Chicago, New York, Brooklyn, Cleveland, Cincinnati, y'all know what I'm talking about. It, we can adjust to the cold. I mean, we can adjust to the heat. It's hard to adjust to that cold. It's almost impossible. Carbon Q said the North is nuts. Left New York and I don't miss it. Yeah, I don't. I ain't gonna lie. I love my people. Um, love where I'm from, but yo, that was not for me. That was not for me. Say some circumstances force you to make a change and move, like eviction. No, no, Barry, no. We ain't gonna start it on a sour note, because if you got evicted for something that you did, wherever you are, wherever you going, you probably gonna do it again. I'm talking about natural selection of choices. Now, if you got evicted because the way things are these days, I get it, but yeah, for the most part, nah. The farthest a southerner goes is North Carolina from Florida. So many Floridians move there. I'm not sure why, because that's when that temperature start to change. Okay, Usam says, stuck in London with no links to anywhere safe to resources and no funds to buy a habitable place. I'm not quite sure what you mean by that, Usam. I took that a certain way and I'm not sure. Are you saying you homeless? Because that's how I took it. That's how I read it anyway. So no questions about that sacrifice. And I'm gonna touch on Usum again from London. London is expensive. Right there. London is expensive. And that's part of that sacrifice. Maybe you should get out of London. I'm serious. It sounds ridiculous. It sounds crazy. Callie Homestead with Pooh Bear said, I left Detroit and left my family, but they're back in California where we are now. Okay, okay. I'm be honest with you. Some of the stuff that I'm telling you, it sounds insane, but I mean it. You may need to leave London. Period. Said, no clue. Okay, bye, Usam. We ain't here for that. How you doing, my friend? Said, Led, it's nice to see you again. I hope Lady Led is well and the children. Thank you so much. She's doing just fine. London is New York with them prices. See, and that's the part. Some people were born and raised, like in New York and Chicago, were born and raised in the apartment living, even in a nice apartment. I'm not always talking, when I say apartment, I'm not always talking about the ghetto. I'm not always talking about public housing. Sometimes I'm talking about nice apartments too. You do not have to live in that. You chose that situation. You can get out of that situation. I do not mean that in a negative way. I mean, if you are trying to really truly survive for you and your family, you have to make that sacrifice that you cannot live in a high rise or a duplex or quadruplex apartment building anymore. And if your city and your state is that expensive to live in and that's all you got to live in, you might have to start looking out of state to move. Cause see, where I was from, it didn't have what I wanted. And I knew part of my sacrifice, I have to leave my whole city and state, not just my city, but my state. I lived all around my city until a point I said, I'm going to just have to leave here. And I'm gonna say this too. If you're gonna leave, if you're going to sacrifice to leave, I need you to study on it, think about it really hard. And if you gonna go, go hard. Gigi Netter said, otherwise you let it swallow you up. It's best to leave. Amen. When I say if you're gonna go, go hard. I mean, don't pack all your stuff up, sell everything you own, and move in the city next door. No, if you're gonna do all of that, you gotta go off into the wild blue yonder. You gotta go off into the abyss. Like, listen, I ain't never lived in Texas, but I hear it's really nice. Go take a couple trips to Texas, look around, ask questions, read some books, and if you're gonna do it, do it, do it, do it. If you're gonna make a life change like that, make a life change. You know, change the weather, as the entertainers call it. If you from the snow, go somewhere where it don't snow very much. And that's what I did my research, and we got out of there. And on the journey, you might find out right in between the path. We were supposed to be moving to North Carolina. I ended up here in South Carolina. I was supposed to be moving to Charlotte. Led and Raleigh Durham. Led, what are your thoughts on townhomes? What do you mean by what are my thoughts on townhomes? A regular gun guy says, I'm ready mentally and physically. I love Chicago, but it's time to go. Bruh, I'm right there with you. Listen, you from Chicago. Me and my wife basically lived at the Palmer House Hilton. Literally. We was always there. We was always in Chicago. And I don't even have that much family in Chicago, but I was always there. I loved it so much. But I know from Chicago to Toledo, as much as I love all of that, Detroit, all of that's my home. I can't keep doing that, man. I couldn't keep doing it. Because one thing where the Northerners and the Southerners clash at, in my own opinion, mind you, is when we move to the South, we got a kind of chip on our shoulder, and it's nothing. It is not to be offensive. It's because where we are from, if you're not constantly thinking somebody about to rob you or beat you up, you gotta keep your eyes and your head on swivel. So when you move to the South, everybody's so laid back. You'll come to a party and everybody like this, right? A backyard boogie, and you'll come, the music good and everything playing, and everybody sitting around the fire like this, and you on your edge of your seat like, they too calm, they about to try to rob me. Who was this just came to the party? That was me. Who was that? Who was that just came back here? Who car is that pulling up? Oh man, that's Billy. It's good. We good. Who is Billy though? Who is Billy related to? Who know Billy? Billy who for what? Why ain't he come when everybody? We become instant crime investigators just because somebody came to the party late. We thinking this the fool about to jack us, right? And this was all a setup. When us Northerners moved to the South, we cannot fathom how laid back the Southerners are. And it becomes a little edgy, a little weird, a little kind of clash. And we got to learn that you ain't always got to be on your guard like that down here. From New York, Chicago, Detroit, Toledo, Indiana, Indianapolis, all of us, we constantly like this, man. That's why, look, the movies depict us the best. The movies depict us the best. It's not acting. We always moving around and looking. If you watch my videos, I'll be trying to practice keeping my head still. Because even though I'm still talking to the camera, I'll be outside looking like, who about to get me? It's a natural instinct. And we got to learn. Sometimes you'll see me just stop and I have to chill. And in the South, if they end up going up north, they so chill, they the first ones to get jacked and then come back home with a bad experience, right? Because they was too chill. They wasn't on swivel. They was like, man, I like this. Man, these bills is huge. And then next thing you know, somebody ripping that Levi patch off your back pocket with your wallet in it. Then you know, you have to learn your new environment, and that's stressful and it's a struggle, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So yeah, man, a regular gun guy, if you ready, man, make that leap. Don't get me wrong, man. I love my city too. I love everything about it. I love my people. But man, it's not for me no more. As we get older, I can only speak for me. As I got older, man, my goals, wants, and wishes changed. I'm gonna share one more personal thing with you. I had a 1964 Ford Galaxy 500 XL on D's, hitting switches. All I wanted, and I said I can die as soon as I can get my hands on a 1964 Chevy Impala. That used to be my life goal. That was my life goal, was to upgrade the car I had already customized to the Chevy, right? That was my life goal. As I got older, and then about 10 cars later that had been stolen, chopped and screwed, you start your wants and needs start to change. Your dreams start to change. And I'm gonna be honest with you. Remember, this is personal. This is the real me talking. This is my real personal goal. Since I moved from Ohio, even through Atlanta, all the way to North Carolina, to South Carolina, everywhere I live so far, I have seen a 1964 Chevy Impala probably 50 to 100 times for sale. I couldn't find them back home, right? You on the West Coast and up north, you can't find them. If you find them up north, they all rusted out. West Coast, you know they holding it down. They taking all the old classics. Soon as you move to the South, they're everywhere. And nobody cares. Nobody cares. Nobody wants them like that. I used to drop my son off at school every day and see a cherry red 64 Chevy Impala in somebody's carport, and they didn't even want it. It had a for sale sign in it for 3 years. I don't even know what happened to it. The for sale sign was in there for 3 years. I knew it ran because one time I heard him out there just starting it up and smoking. It was running perfect, purring. I had an opportunity to buy it. But I said, I don't even want it. Instead of me spending all that money on a 1964 Chevy Impala and putting all that garbage on it just so it can get stolen again, I was trying to come up with a way to buy some land, some more land. I was on land. I was trying to figure out a way to buy the land across from me, right? I'm trying to come up with a master plan for land. I still admire the beauty and the artwork of that car, but that's all it is. That's just like my city. I love my city, and I still root for my city, but it's just not my dream anymore to be there. That's not what I want. And I want you to know that it is okay for you to leave. You gonna hurt some feelings. Somebody gonna hurt your feelings about you leaving. But if you care so much for that, you're living for that person. You're living for them. Your friends gonna get along just fine. Your family members that you leave, they're gonna get along just fine. And if anything, what you might do, because my sister, my mother, my cousin live here with me. Why? Because they came down to visit me and never left. So I was able to spark a change in somebody else's life, that they was living that hard life up north. And they just come down like, who land is this? It's mine. We can walk over there if we want to? Yeah. Can I fish in that water? There's fishing poles in the garage, fool. Right? Are you serious? Go ahead. Hey, matter of fact, it's a canoe right over there. It's a canoe. Just yeah, flip it over. Be careful. Make sure ain't nothing living in it. Flip it over. Scrape the leaves out. Yeah, and just go ahead, man. The paddles is in the garage next to the fishing poles. That was a true story. I got video footage of my cousin coming down in my canoe, tripping on the lake. Because you can't do that back home. Now they live here. My sister live here. So you get a chance to impact people's lives and let them see and realize, man, this world is big, man. This world is huge. You do not have to sit in one place. God made all of this for us. Nowhere in the Bible says, sit still real quick. Don't you move. Don't you move a muscle. You was born right there. You stay right there. He did not say that. All these wonders and beauty, man, he created this stuff for us, man. And if you don't experience life, you're doing yourself a disservice. And I'm going to tell you something else. For the people that are too scared to travel or won't travel, if you will not travel, your ignorance knows no bounds. Most of the people that be talking is crazy as they do. You hear crazy people talking and rooting for some lunatic. I guarantee you, the people with that small peanut brain way of thinking have never left their city a day in their life. They have never sat with other cultures to ask questions, to understand, why do you do that? Why do y'all do that? I've always wondered why y'all do that. And when somebody give them the answer and be like, oh, right? For instance, I'm gonna tell you another story that was personal. When I lived in Atlanta, Georgia, I was invited to a pig roast. I have never been to a pig roast before in my life. I've seen it on TV. I've never seen it. I went to a pig roast and was like, man, why do y'all do that? You put the pig in the ground? For what? But y'all don't know about no grills, man. We be up north, man. We blow smoke signals, son. You know what I'm saying? We get our grills popping. What y'all doing? Putting y'all meat underground. That don't even make, is y'all burying it? Is we gonna resurrect it? Is the pig gonna turn into a zombie and we gotta run from it to eat it? I don't understand putting all our barbecue meat in the ground and leave it there all day. I don't understand. So please make me understand that. And I never forget the dude. Now I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm in Kennesaw. Georgia. My friend name was Jeremy. Cool white dude. He said, look here, Bo. He hit me with that all the time. Had one of them hats pinched right here with the fishing hook in it. Listen here, Bo. You get that doggone hog about 2 more hours. Hours. You hear that? Not hours. You get that hog about 2 more hours. You gonna know exactly why we do that. All right, man. I don't know about eating no dirty pig meat, but all right. Let me tell you something. My fire pit out back. It's my fire pit, but I dug it that deep because ever since I left Atlanta, Georgia 20 years ago, one of my dreams was I gotta build me one of them hog pits, son. Forget 64 Chevy Impalas sitting on these. No, I need to figure out a way to dig about 3 feet down so I can get this hog pit popping. That's my new dream. So that's what my fire pit really is, y'all, just in case y'all don't know. Okay. Culture change, man. Once I knew, because I used to think them country boys was crazy. Man, they just throw a whole half a pig in the ground and walk away and sit around, drink beers. And I don't understand. Once I got there, once I tasted that thing, oh, look, this how I was. Oh, that's you bouncing that. You juggling it in your mouth and your hand. How the old hot grease get on? I get it now. I get it now. Oh yeah. I hope y'all got a whole nother pit with another pig in it, because I'm about to take that whole side right there. That's me, son, right there. So once you leave and you move and you travel, you gain knowledge. We're not a being that's supposed to sit still. You cannot gain knowledge sitting in one spot. You can only hear rumors of what somebody told you. If you sit in one spot, you're going to read books, you're going to look at the internet, and that is no better than a rumor. That's somebody else's depiction of what they saw. They're telling you their experience. That's not your experience. Whether they wrote it in a book or you're seeing it on report on the news, that's what they're living. That's how they feel. Somebody will be on the news and say, "It smells like waffle cones down here, Dave. Back to you." It might not smell like waffle cones to you if you were there. It might smell like sweet cinnamon. You have to go experience life. And sometimes going to experience life is a sacrifice. Period. Everybody want to be too safe all the time. Listen to me. A better life is not safe all the time. Trying to go forward and move forward into a better existence and a better lifestyle for you, yourself, and your family is not always safe. It's not always easy. Matter of fact, most of the time it's not safe or easy. It's hard and it's rough. But once you get the hang of it, just like anything else, oh my God. Oh my God. If I told you the blessings that God has bestowed upon me and my family, I would sound like I was bragging. That's why I'm not going to do it. And I feel that one of the reasons he continues to bless me and my family is because we always stepping out on faith. And man, look, it's that feeling inside you keep telling you, that feeling inside you keep saying, you know, this ain't right. That's what you're supposed to be doing. That's what you're supposed to be doing. That job you working on right now, that ain't where you're supposed to be. That ain't where you're supposed to be. That house you live in right now, that ain't where you're supposed to be. That's not where you're supposed to be. All of these is levels. And you got to listen to that little voice inside that's going to tell you exactly. It's just like cooking. You know, you cooking a little more salt, a little more pepper. That's how we doing life. Each one that you move up a level, it's like flavoring the gumbo. Until you know in your taste buds and in your spirit, that's it right there, son. That's it right there. Don't put nothing else in there. Put the lid on there, turn the fire off. Have you got to the point that you ready to put the lid on and cut the fire off? Most of us ain't in your life. Most of us, you're not ready to put the lid on and cut the fire off. You still flavoring your life up, trying to season it right to get to that point. You might be in a great position right now. I feel that I'm in a pretty good position. But for some reason, God still got me seasoning my gumbo like it's not, you ain't done yet. You ain't done. Little cilantro, little cayenne pepper. You ain't done yet. And as well as I feel like I'm living, if he tell me I'm not done, I'm not done. You ever had somebody while you cooking and then you do this? You say, taste that. And then you need to throw some Lowry seasoning salt in that junk right there. You like, man, that's gonna mess it up. Trust me. Lowry's. A pinch. Hit that with some Lowry sauce. You listen like, man, I ain't gonna mix it up in the whole batch, because that'll mess up the whole batch. I'm gonna pull out a cup and I'm gonna throw it in there and I'm gonna see what it's tasting like. That's how I feel right now. I feel like he telling me, go ahead, hit it with a little more. It ain't quite there yet. Well, it's smelling good. The whole house smelling good. But you ain't there yet. I feel, my family, I feel like I'm almost ready to put the lid on that thing and cut the fire off. Pull out the good dishes, you know? It's time to serve this life up on the good china, the good dishes. So, don't be afraid to sacrifice, to move. Or I promise you, I can even say this. You watching me right now on YouTube because of that same sacrifice that I took 20 years ago. That same sacrifice is why I'm here to this day, talking to you about my experience with sacrifice. Try that on for size. I wouldn't tell you nothing that's going to hurt you. I'm not going to tell you nothing that's going to hurt you. I promise you that. If it's something that I feel like, maybe, I'm not going to do that. I'll keep that to myself. But I'll tell you this. If you died today without trying, you're going to regret that. If you try and fail, you can at least say, man, I gave it a shot. It just ain't quite work out in my favor. That's with relationships too. But doggone it, if you don't never give nothing a try, if you don't never give nothing a shot, you're going to die to your very last day wondering what would have happened if I would have went on ahead and did it. What if I would have? You're going to be woulda, coulda, shouldn't yourself half to death. That might be the doggone thing to kill you. Regret. Regret. So, anyway, I hope that helped you, my friend, what was her name or his name? I hope that helped you. I say step out on faith, do your research, and be ready to sacrifice a lot of things that you're used to, your comfortable zone, your comfort zone, you know, because that's a hard one. Be ready to get out of there. Be ready to be ridiculed. Be ready to be hated for no reason. Be ready for people. Be ready for people to want you to fail. That fueled me. That fueled me because I had so many people that wanted my adventure to fail. It drove me harder because they couldn't wait to say, see, told your dumb ass, told you, didn't I? Told you. It was so many people that kept asking, instead of asking me questions like, do you need some help? Do you need some money? Do you need some guidance? Instead, I got more questions of, oh, y'all still down there? Are you still doing that? You gonna mess up? Don't do that. That was dumb. You gonna get a lot of that. You gonna get a lot of questions of, man, when y'all really gonna come back though? Y'all really staying down there like that? You gonna get a lot. You gonna get more of that negative input than you will people that's cheering you on. It's gonna be more like a crash 'em up derby from back in the 60s and the 70s than it's gonna be for a NASCAR race. Ain't nobody getting up and doing the wave for you. It's going to be more people can't wait to see the destruction of your failure. But remember one thing, even if you fail, you still better than them because they ain't done nothing. And don't let that one failure stop you. Get up, regroup, and do it again. Period. That whenever people judge and criticize, it shows a huge reflection on themselves and how they haven't done a lot. And you know what it also does? It also shows you it's easier for me to leave next time. See what I told you, I left the second time to South Carolina. The second time I left, it was a lot easier because I saw you wasn't really for me. You wasn't for me. Y'all, when I left to Atlanta, everybody was like, rah, rah, rah. So when I moved to South Carolina, I didn't say goodbye. I didn't have a going away party. I didn't do none of that. Me and my family jumped in that old rusty RV we had back then in the middle of the night, and I left. So by the time people realized I was gone, they was knocking on my door. They was knocking on somebody else's front door. I was like, dog, you gonna leave and not even tell nobody? What difference would it make? For y'all to keep on sitting there telling me how I ain't gonna succeed, how I'm going to fail. What I don't need to hear that. Y'all told me that last time, so I figured since we covered that, I'll just leave, man, in the middle of the night. You know? And then the funny part is the only people that came to knock on your door, they're not coming to check on you. They coming to borrow some money. They coming, they need a favor. They want to borrow your tools to fix their car. They want to see if you can come help them get out of a jam. They ain't even coming to really check on you. They coming to scavenge off of you. And what you don't realize is you living in a world, a lot of us is living in a world right now where it's just vultures around you, constantly picking the meat off your bones slowly. You ever seen a group of vultures, turkey vultures, pick like a deer or something clean off the side of the road? It take them a few days. They take, as big as them birds is, they only take little pieces at a time until there's nothing left but skeleton. And they do it so slow you don't realize that they're slowly devouring you. You don't have enough energy to really get up and move anywhere because they all crowding over you, picking a little piece of your energy off. That's why I say, when you feeling like a wounded lamb and you in the middle of the road, get up and leave in the middle of the night. Just leave. Don't wait for the vultures to come. They'll clean you down to the marrow. So, Nicole Groves is one of them. Nicole Groves, I heard your story. You moved from, what would you say? You was from Maine and you moved all the way to Cali. You moved from the extreme of the East Coast to the extreme of the West Coast, Boston. I knew it was one of them. And I know all the things that you went through, you still did it. You still did it, and you know in your spirit, you know, I can't stay here. I can't stay here, and you understand. People got to understand, you got to feel it in your soul, like, listen, I cannot do this another day. I left my job. I left my friends. I left my family. I left everything I knew. Everything. And all I took with me is my wife and my 3 kids and as much stuff as we could carry in my little, I had a 12-foot boat. What was it? A Sebring or something like that. Little boat. Used the boat as a trailer because it was on his own little trailer. That's how we got here. No. When we unpacked our car, or our RV, once we finally got us an apartment, we didn't need to rent a U-Haul or nothing to move in. All of us just grabbed all the stuff we had, like groceries, you know. That's how much stuff that we had when we finally got an apartment. We had enough, like, everybody brought in a couple arms full of survival equipment. Sit your butt down on the floor. Make it do what it do. That was it. I think, what was it, our first purchase in them apartments over there was like a vacuum cleaner or something? TV. You got to make do with what you got. I'm sorry, y'all. It's been way over an hour. I didn't mean to go on. I just wanted to let my friend know, and we will be talking more about moving and purchasing land. But I wanted to make sure, are you in the right mental state to do this stuff? Because it's much more than getting your finances together and buying land. you got to be right up here. You got to be ready to take a loss before you get that win. That's why I did this. Daniel Lyons says, Dandelion says, we left New Jersey and moved up to Buffalo because of the cost of living. Okay. Lee Harv says, we downsizing as we speak. Gotta do it. Yeah. So that's all, you guys. I'm gonna let y'all go. I'm gonna get on out of here. I hope that helps somebody. And thank you, Gigi's Natural. Thank you, my sister, because Gigi Natural right now is in the process of doing the exact same thing. You might mess around and buy some land and ain't no house on it, you know. It is in your head. When you look at that new piece of land that you buy, you see it. You see everything, don't you, Gigi? When you looking out at that land, you see where your house gonna go. You see where your garden gonna go, where your fruit tree orchard gonna be, where your pond you plan on digging. When everybody else is looking at grass and trees, but that spirit inside you, it's almost like that house. You could reach out and touch the house. When you walk in that land, it's almost like you walking up to the house. Gigi, can you testify on this? When you walk in your land and you feel it. When you walk in your land, everybody else see. I watched your video, Gigi Natural, and I watched everybody else kind of walk over to the side, right? You was going this way. And nobody really caught on to that. I did, because I felt it. And I said, she walking to her house. Everybody else is talking about the grass and the land and the dividers and where the other land start and where the other land stop. You was walking to the house because you could see that house your way. You was talking to us, kinda. You was ready to show us inside, like, yeah, this is where we made the pantry since we doing so much canning, you know. This where their pantry at. So we had to build that in. I knew that was gonna be, you know, sizable room. You was ready to do a walkthrough with us in your mind. That's what it is right there. That's what that spirit do for you when you know that drive. Don't let nobody stop you. You get that piece of land, man, you know what it is. Everybody else only see grass and what you want dirt and grass for? Don't listen. I stopped talking to people like that. When people ask me dumb questions, and that is a dumb question to me because that shows pure ignorance. If you don't know why I want this whole big plot of land with just dirt and grass on it, ain't nothing for me and you to talk about. Nothing for me and you to talk about. Because I could talk all day till I'm blue in the face and you won't get it. I could spell it out in whatever language you speak and you won't get it. I could tell it to you in sign language, in Braille, and you won't get it. Gigi Natural say, yep, stay away from me with that negativity. Amen. No. I don't got time for, if you don't get it, man, I can't explain it to you. You go ahead and hit Google for that. Go ahead and Google that right there, right? What are some good websites to find land? You go Google that question right there. That question you just asked me, go Google that. So everybody have a wonderful day. I hope this helped as many people as it possibly can. To everybody that was in here, a regular gun guy, Carbon Q, Gigi's Natural, everybody up in here. Where my girl at? Game Nerd Mom. Everybody in here, thank you so much for coming to LBX 73 and what we're trying to do here on this channel. We're trying to lead by example so we can all move forward. That's what we're doing on this channel. That's why I didn't answer anything about chickens. I didn't answer anything about canning. That's not what we're doing over here. We're trying to better ourselves as far as all the other stuff go. Okay? Thank you guys. Thank you very much. Laird Pharmaceutical 3. Please, family, do your best and lead by example. And I'm out.